Okay, good evening, we'll call this meeting to order, Monday, October 22nd, Board of Selectmens Meeting. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I got a couple of items to add to the agenda, planning board update and RSU Board of Directors update. Anybody got anything else?
No, I've already got that on there.
Okay, hearing that, looking for a motion.
So move, approve the agenda as amended.
Motion in a second, all those in favor? Okay. Next item is a public forum. This is where we allow the public to make comments on any non-agenda items. Anybody from the public would like to make a comment? Perfect. Okay. October 9th, 2018 minutes.
Nobody has anything to add to it, to change on it, move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Yeah, one abstention. Okay. Committee and board reports. Thelma, you've got an RSU 21 audit?
Yes, at the last finance committee meeting, we were presented with the audit for the RSU. And it was reported by Christian Smith of what is now Whipfly, WIPFLI. The audit was a very clean audit. They were very pleased. It didn't take them that long to do the audit. Everything was ready. And I'm going to leave the audit with Keith at the town hall. What they noted was that on page 9 of the audit shows where the money comes from, and that as the budget tightens, the fund balance is getting less and less. And it's that fund balance where the money comes from that reduces the tax impact. And most of the fund balance that was left came from regular instruction and special ed. And the special ed you're going to get every year because they put a placeholder in special ed every year for one child for the cost of one child to be out of district, which is a huge amount of money. If they had to take one special ed child and place them in usually it's out of state or something somewhere. And every year they've been very fortunate that they haven't had to use that yet, but it's always there, it's a placeholder every year. And that's where the majority of the funds came from. So I will leave this with Keith.
One thing I can add to that, they did talk about it at the directors meeting.
Yep.
Was that, they kinda use that fund balance somewhat like we do, right? They take some of the unassigned and they apply it, to try to help reduce taxes. Total fund balance right now is in the $300 million range, and the unassigned is 600,000 and change. And they kind of expect that as the years go on, that unassigned is gonna dwindle. So there'll be less and less money from the unassigned to be able to use because they're getting so close with their budgets. So that was one area of concern that they had a little discussion about. But to Velma's point, $48 million budget and no deficiencies, no material misses, it went pretty good, so. Okay. I'll go right to the RSU 21 Board of Directors meeting. Monday, October 15th. They started off with a public input. Noel Vegan from Arundel, he made a comment, some public comments about the school choice decision and his displeasure with the decision of the RSU for going after an appeal process. And then Melissa Wall was also another resident. She kind of talked about that. Her biggest gripe was the transparency from the board, having to find out through that type of scenario that they were going to appeal. They felt that they should have let folks know beforehand. That was their comments. Presentations, Mary Boswell did a presentation on the kindergarten jumpstart. In 2014, the jumpstart started and they had 23 students in 2014. This is the 5th summer, 2018, they were up to 69 students. In 2018, 90% of the students met their fall benchmark. The data shows that the children that attended the Jumpstart program are performing exceptionally well. So it's a good project that's going on, and they're kind of very pleased with it. I won't get into the financial, Velma already talked about that. Committee reports, let's see. Communications, they're looking at setting up goals for the year. Facilities, dugouts will be completed this fall. They're working the construction punch list for the high school, trying to get that all squared away. And the Memorial Field bleachers, I guess they did an inspection of the Memorial Field bleachers. They'll be okay for this year, but they're short-lived. We're gonna need to have some replacement pretty soon here. School start time, they've got workshops going with various teachers from 6th to 12th grade. October 29th, they wanna do a public forum. They have 6 total proposals, which includes leaving it as is. They're actually looking for volunteers to try to help them out, make that decision. And there'll be a survey going out on October 30th for that school start. School bus drivers, they had put out incentives for school bus drivers, or if you wanted to become a school bus driver for the RSU 21, you'd get, they give you some money. They've got 3 new applicants, and those folks have been hired. They don't have CDL, so they're gonna go through and give them the training, and they expect to be fully staffed within a month. Couple of policies that they went over, actually 3 policies: pest management, copyright compliance, and copyright compliance admin procedures. Those all got approved. Update from the superintendent. The admin team is working one-on-one with the principals. It's also, the MEA tests are in. They will be reviewing, and they will report out on that, hopefully at the next meeting. October 5th Staff Day was a huge success. They got a lot of feedback from everybody that it was very, very good and positive feedback. School liaisons, high school, the homecoming success, football team is still undefeated. 7th and 8th of November is a parent-teacher conference. Middle school, the Super Walk was a huge success, $13,000 raised. KES, they've got an upcoming walkathon, and in November they're gonna start their box top collection. MLD cross-country meet was canceled again. I guess they've had a couple of cross-country meets canceled because of rain. On the 17th, they were having a committee meeting, communications committee meeting here at the school with the fire chief and the school resource officer. Consolidated school, there's been some talk about whether they should continue the school play or not. So they're gonna send out a survey, from parents and folks to see if they wanna continue with that, with the school play. That's it, we adjourned at 8:13 PM. Planning board. Oops. So they had a couple of public hearings. The first one was B&B Trucking. B&B Trucking is on the corner of New Road and Old Alfred Road. The DOT obviously is buying up part of that piece of property to realign the Old Alfred Road, so they have a proposal out to demolish their truck repair business that they're building and move it out back into the field. There was only one abutter that was there, and they brought up some issues on some screening, backyard screening, side yard screening, where the road is gonna be, where their driveway is gonna be. They've got a well that's pretty close to that. They brought up some concerns about that. one of the comments that came out was, hey, this is the first that we've heard about this. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on when we get to the end of their meeting. But Paul Gadboy, who's working with these folks, has, you know, kind of stood up and said, you know, we'll work with these folks and try to get everything all squared away. DBF Holdings is just to construct a 500 square foot single-use steel building with associated parking and driveway on 715 Alfred Road. There was nobody from the public that had any comments on that. For pending applications, Pave Tech asked, request for review extension. The board granted them an extension. LeGros Lane, they're looking to extend LeGros Lane to put some development down towards the end. The residents of LeGros Lane have, came to the board a few meetings ago and said, hey, wait a minute, you know, we've got a road agreement here, this is gonna affect it, or, so they're working with the applicant to try to get a road agreement. There was no road agreement as of the meeting, so they tabled that until the next meeting. They talked about B&B trucking again. They're gonna work out the items with the landowners. DBF Holdings got approved. There was a long discussion on a performance guarantee, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight. And that was that. Land use ordinance, some discussions on listing contractor yards, home occupations, pre-release correction facilities, residential care facilities, and wind and energy conversions into the use tables. They are discussed throughout the ordinance, but there's nothing in the use table, so they talked about how they're gonna put those into the use table. Other business, the town planner discussed with them about us approving Port City. Mini golf that's going in the Fritz's Place, the old Fritz's Place, they changed their name to Castle Golf. There was a discussion about, in the ordinance, there is a 30-day requirement after public hearing to complete an application. That was put in so that, because there was complaints about, the planning board takes too long to get things done, so the planning board put an ordinance that said, hey, after public hearing, we have 30 days unless an applicant comes back and wants an extension. So Paul Gadboy early on had said, gee, that doesn't make sense, he didn't think it was right. But again, the planning board reiterated back that it's their discretion, you know, if they think that they need more time, then they can grant an extension. It was brought up because at the public hearing, we had an abutter come up and say, hey, this is the first time that we hear this, and now they, you know, there could be a whole bunch of things that need to get done that could extend that 30-day. So one of the things that Tad talked about was sending notifications out at plan submittal instead of later on down the process. Later on, when they send out notifications to abutters, sometimes that doesn't give enough time for people to know what's going on, and people kind of get upset when they know that the planning board is working on something and they don't even know anything about it. So Tad thought, well, maybe once somebody submits a plan, then they could let the abutters know to give them plenty of time, or give the abutters time to work with the planning board early on. Let's see what else. That's it. Questions? Is that enough? Phew. All right. Managers report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, first off, the part-time fire chief's position update, I've interviewed one of the applicants that I'm considering for the chief's position, and when I reached out to the other, fortunately, he was in Europe on vacation, so I'm waiting his return from vacation, so I expect to have a discussion with him the week of the 29th, which would be the last week in the month. I've given him a deadline of that. If he chooses to walk away, then I'll come forward with something at that point. But I'm hoping that he'll come forward and talk with me.
The chief has been supportive through all of this?
Oh, yeah. He was in the interviews. He will stay on to help in the transition once the new chief is selected and is on board. You know, different computer things that that he has the keys to, so, yep,
Good.
he's all set. As you know, you provided approval at your last meeting to have us go forward and purchase some stickers. The stickers have been ordered. I provided you a copy of what the sticker will look like, and the cost related to purchasing them. I expect them to be in Friday the 26th, so the end of this week. And then we'll immediately start to get some information out to the public that they can come in and get stickers. We're also contemplating perhaps having somebody at the transfer station on a Wednesday or a Saturday, so folks that are there can get their stickers as well. We had a couple things that have come up, which I expected was going to happen. First, we had a business who was turned away, the Man Memorial Clinic on Route 1 was turned away from getting their recyclables there because they weren't residents of the town and they had no information. So I made a call down there and I explained, deeply sorry that occurred, that if she just brings her property tax bill at this point, we'll take care of it. She was very, very accommodating and I really appreciated that. But it brings up that issue of how we're going to deal with those business owners that may not necessarily live in town, but have businesses here and they wish to recycle their recyclables at the station. So we're thinking, I sent it around the office, and we may link it to personal property that you have. So that way we know that the business will have a personal property tax as well as a tax, and then they'll come in and we'll give them a sticker related to that. Then we had people that may have vacant property, and that was the other thing, we wanted to make sure that they have a personal property identification number, and we'll place, once we know and confirm that, then we'll put their registration on the sticker. And then we have the folks that are out of town. That, the one that came up, we had a gentleman with the Arundel Cottages that had come forward, had his tax bill. And so we accommodated him, and so there'll be, when the stickers are given out, there may be a registration that's not necessarily for Maine, that might be on the sticker, but we know that we've confirmed the fact that they own property here or have a business here, so we'll allow it. The only other piece we have there that we've got to figure out is that it's happened a couple times according to the staff up there, and what it was we had like handyman service. Gentleman lives in town, he's got a truckload or a trailer load of materials, recyclables, and he wants to get rid of them. And I think there's a disconnect there because we know that abundance of material isn't coming from Arundel. So we're gonna have to identify those folks and maybe have a discussion with them that, that's not what this recycling center is all about, so. That's still coming up. It's funny, as we begin to get this, I had a lady from contact me because she was there on a Wednesday morning and the staff from Pine Tree Waste was not there yet. So, and she was there at 8 o'clock and she was very upset that, the doors weren't open. So we contacted Pine Tree Waste, and we also, Roger also talked to them because we don't mind, as Roger said, if something happens and you can't get there, let us know. We'll make sure the gate's open and we staff it until you arrive. So we try to accommodate that. But in this case, the gentleman indicated that he had a flat tire and didn't make it in time. Roger went there this Saturday. He was right on time. Matter of fact, he was early, so everything was ready to go. So those are a couple of the snafus that we have. As soon as we get the stickers in, we'll start publicizing. I'm sure something else may come up as we go through this, and we'll keep moving forward.
Everything been taken care of with when one dumpster is full and they go into the we had an issue with,
We did, and we talked to Pine Tree, and we talked to Gino about that, and, yeah, that's totally unacceptable, we're not, evidently, what Dan is referring to is they had a ladder there or something to allow residents to go up this ladder to drop their, I mean, that's just an accident waiting to happen, and, we've told them that, no, in certain terms, we shouldn't be doing that anymore, so you hear of it, you notice it, please let us know, because we've put them on notice, and we've got to prevent that from happening. The other thing we have, and I'll have more information after my meeting with Pine Tree Waste on the 30th, is that we have that one compactor that's original to the transfer station that we're continuing to have issues with. Right now, it's operating properly, and so we'll keep monitoring, but they're gonna provide us some options to consider as we move forward, so. I'll have more to report to you once I get that information to me.
okay. Anything else from the board on the manager's report? Okay, old business, draft food truck ordinance.
Yes, I tried to clean up the last draft, and the newest draft, which should be 10/16/18, I tried to tighten up and take away the things that we had eliminated. Also, I moved the exemption criteria to section 7 within the document. So we talked about those food trucks that may be used for private parties for residential purposes, so I placed it there. And I guess what I'm looking for now would be, if it needs any more clarification, I tried to find all the language issues that I could observe within it. And it seemed okay to me at this point, but again, I could miss something because I was dealing with it. Finally, the other thing I did do is I made a recommendation to you on terms of what the fees should be. And I placed it within your executive summary. My suggestion was, I think, $100 for whatever activity or function we're doing seemed to be unreasonable for those weekend or daily functions that somebody may or may not have. The ones that come to mind for me right now was Vinegar Hill. Vinegar Hill had, a Sunday, and they had a variety of vendors that were coming in that were only there for one day, and then they would be gone, and then some other vendor would come in later in the season. So I propose to you, and you don't have to take any action on it tonight, but I'd appreciate discussion if you feel it's not right. $250 for a seasonal license, $50 for a weekend, and $20 for the day. And I thought that was a reasonable. What I did is I looked at hours of operations that they actually could be open, and I tried to use the hourly amount to try to come up with a reasonable cost for it. And then looked at some of the other, what other communities are, and I think we're in the middle of the ballpark, I believe, in terms of licensing permit fees, so. That's as far as I've gotten with it at this point. I did add to it, as was suggested at the meeting, under the performance standards, the business hours. If you remember, Bentley and Mr. Bernier was here from Dawn's Lunch, wanted to see it to go to 1 AM, so I did extend that there. We really haven't had a lot of discussion on it, so I left it 7 AM to 1 AM. And then everything else within the performance standards I left alone at this point.
Okay, any comments on the ordinance?
So you didn't hear anything back from Bentley or?
I did not.
So a daily ticket would be 7 AM to 1 AM.
Right.
Would a weekend include Friday night, or would that
Yes.
just be Saturdays? Yeah.
I would say it'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's how I would look at it.
I think those fees are too low. We can have that discussion when we get rid of the set.
Yeah, I mean, when you set the fees, I will put them on there, on your draft document, you can have that discussion further. And if you think I need to do more research, obviously Dan's sort of commenting that way at this point, so I maybe,
No, I think you've done enough research, I think, I mean, you gave us a bunch of, in the past, you've given us a whole bunch of fees from the different towns around, so.
yeah.
I mean, I certainly don't need you to do any more research, I don't know if anybody else on the board does, but I'm fine.
I got one thing on, page 2, item C. The, accumulating debris within 100 feet
Yep.
of the food truck. I'm wondering if we should say, debris accumulated from the food truck operation, no matter if it's 100 feet or even more.
Oh, okay, so eliminate the 100.
Eliminate the 100 and
feet,
say
just
whatever, whatever debris is accumulated by that operation needs to be cleaned up.
Yep,
And that should be fair.
say it's fair.
So all solid waste or debris accumulated
From
from
a
the
food truck,
From the food truck operation.
Yep, yeah, there you go. Tom, have you had a chance to go through this?
Yep. The only thing I was thinking about making, I mean, do we wanna make an exemption for nonprofits, like Historical Society Act, in terms of they have a one-time event? Or do we just wanna leave it to?
I don't think we should make an exemption, I
Okay.
think we should just leave, this is my view, I think we should just leave it, and then when they come to us, we determine whether we want to
request a waiver.
Make an exemption.
make an exemption or not.
Yeah.
So they have to come to us for a mass gathering, that's a totally separate.
That's a separate, right, this would just be if they have, I think the Historical Society has a food truck there, right? They have to
Oh,
make
that's
sure
right, I
that
never
food
did.
truck operator comes in
Yeah.
and gets a permit to,
Yeah.
right?
I think when they did their mass gathering, they also asked for a waiver for the fees.
Right.
So they would, in this case, they would also ask, they would give the permit for this, and probably ask to waive the fees, and we can make a determination.
Well, the food truck operator may be first here looking for the permit, not the
Yeah.
Historical Society.
Yeah, so if he's
Yep.
here and he said, I'm gonna be at the Historical Society for the day, then,
Yeah, so he, you know, I mean, he needs to be aware of that, right, because I don't know if he even gave it a second thought, right, because Historical Society probably just, you know, never gave it a thought that,
I don't,
No.
we didn't this year, we did, I understood it was there and,
We
by the
just-
time it was kicking along, I wasn't gonna make an issue of it.
no,
Yeah.
no.
We just contact Mike, and Mike puts it on the calendar and lets the person who's operating the food truck know that on that date, they're gonna be up at the Historical Society site.
Mike,
Because
who?
Mike Marceau.
Oh,
Lobster Company.
okay,
That's-
that's who you have,
That's their,
Oh,
that's their
okay.
food truck, it's the one that's usually down at the corner of the Ross Road.
I see, okay.
And, they have very graciously come up there every year, park the truck there, and at the end of the day, whatever they've sold, whatever cash is in the register, gets put in a bag and given to the Historical Society. So they take the whole thing as a donation.
Very nice,
Yeah.
that's extremely nice.
They are.
Okay, so with that said, looking for a motion to approve this,
I move to approve.
With your amendment, right, Phil?
as amended.
Yeah.
With
As
Phil's
amended,
amendment,
yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve in a second, all those in favor?
Can we just have a little more discussion?
Yeah, absolutely, sorry.
Under performance standards, I know I haven't been here in a while, and you guys try to,
We only missed one meeting.
exterior lighting permitted on the site. Would that promote a potential hazard if we say no exterior lighting permitted on the site? If we're going till 1 AM, wouldn't we want some sort of lighting just for?
Well, what I was referring to there is that most of these are self-contained units, they have lights on the food truck
No
themselves.
additional.
No additional lighting.
Right.
Whatever they have on the truck would be suffice, I don't want them to bring in
Picnic tables and then light the whole picnic
spotlights and all
table.
that kind of stuff on top of it. That's what I was referring to there. Do you think that needs a little more clarity?
No, I just, no.
Answer that, the only question that I would.
And then the only other thing was the 8 seats, what's that? I mean, that's like one picnic table.
Well, I was thinking two, and I was thinking about it, it was 2 picnic tables,
Alright.
that was it.
I'm just trying to think of that reference of the lobster, the truck up there, and they have like 6 or 7 picnic tables.
Yeah, up there they have, because they put out, they actually put out wooden platforms and have the picnic tables on platforms. Yeah, that actually,
I think what I was, I wasn't I guess when I was looking at it, I wasn't looking at these special events that you're describing there. I was looking at, a person who's gonna be there, say a seasonal. I don't want them to have 6 or 8 picnic tables on the seasonal site to accommodate, I think of a food truck, and you come in, if you got a quick meal and you want it, and you sit and eat it real quick and then you're out of there. But most of the time, people will get a food truck and they'll leave, they'll get in their vehicle and leave, so that's what I was thinking, and I was trying to limit it to seating of 8, but I was thinking of 2 picnic tables, not just 1.
But if you're gonna have, like something from a non-profit where, if there's gonna
Right.
be people there all day long, quite a bit of people, how do we get around that?
yeah, because at Vinegar Hill, the food trucks are out front near the parking lot, but of course, they get their food and they go in,
Correct.
in the courtyard where there are tables and things.
Yeah,
We, at the Arundel site, we don't have the picnic tables by the food truck. They get their food, they're walking around, they have tables that they can sit under the tent, different places we have where people can sit, so the food truck has no seating that actually goes with it.
yeah, last season when we had the one down on Route 1, they had 2 picnic tables.
2 picnic tables.
What's the numerical value for mass gathering? When does it go to, what's that number?
150
Oh.
people over
Uh,
several hours,
Yes.
4 hours or something like that.
oh, all right.
So maybe we should just say 2 picnic tables.
Say that?
Here's one thing.
Okay.
What are you gonna do, truck one in that's about 25 feet wide?
I just think that number's low, like,
Okay,
I mean, if someone comes in here with the expectations of, I don't know if they'd necessarily make a living or something on a seasonal food truck, I mean, now you've handcuffed them to 8 people eating it. I don't know,
So you looking to double that?
I don't know, what's the board, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe 16.
Yeah,
that's fine.
8 just seems real low.
Phil, you
Is that-
okay
I know
to
if it's an
amend-
ice cream truck, there's gonna be 4 Nettos,
yeah.
like, right away, so.
You okay to amend your motion, Phil? Yeah.
Maybe to 16
The
seats.
seafood truck that's down on the corner of Ross Road, we go by there a lot, and we get bought there a lot. Seldom have I seen 8 people out there on 3 or 4 picnic tables.
Yeah, I think people are transient, they'll come in and grab their food and they'll leave,
Oh, I agree with you, yeah.
but 16 isn't unreasonable either.
Okay, so we have an amended motion to allow for that to be 16. And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Good.
Right, this will be part of that package that we're trying to put together for some sort of special town meeting at some point. I'll hold it in advance until that time comes.
All right. got recreational director discussions on staff retention.
Yes,
Take it, Jen, that's you.
thank you. So I'm in the same position that lots of businesses are in right now, where I'm having difficulty finding staff for our programs, particularly on a part-time basis. Over the last couple of years, I have been looking for a youth sports manager, coordinator, someone to work in the youth sports programs. We do our youth sports programs now with Kennybunk and Kennebunkport. And Kennebunkport has lost a couple of staff members in recent years, which I've really felt because, I sort of relied on Kennebunkport for the youth sports programmer that they had. That person left, took another job. I sat on the interview committee to, hire her replacement, and he left the position after about 3 months as well. So they're looking to hire again. We have just been through soccer season, one person down, from that department. We're getting ready to enter into the basketball season. And really, every department that's involved should have somebody who is a sports person who can, support the coaches, step in and coach when coaching help is needed, if the coach can't be there, refereeing, running tournaments, that sort of thing. So I do some of that and rely on, as I said, other departments as well, which has been difficult recently. So I've been advertising for a part-time position. There just isn't anybody coming forward that is qualified to do it. When I sat on the interview committee for the Kennebunkport position, we had people that would Skype interview from across the country. People are willing to relocate for a full-time, sports management position. It's definitely a highly sought after. There aren't many of us, and usually people that are working in public recreation stay for a long time. So when there's an opening, people will come. I think it would be difficult for somebody who's a recreation professional to work full-time in one position and part-time in another, because we're needed at the same time, if that makes sense. So, I'm here tonight to tell you that I would like for you to consider allowing me to, advertise for a full-time recreation programmer, sports management person, for our department. We have, youth sports programs are still running strong. There's a demand for more that I can't fill and haven't been able to fill. For instance, flag football is something that Kennebunk runs regionally, but they run it at 3 o'clock. And so kids from this school that wanna go have to figure out how to get here when school is dismissed at 2:45, 3 o'clock, over to Kennebunk for a program. Most parents are working. Every year people ask me to do that program, and I just don't have the help to do it. We have, our before and after school program is continuing to grow exponentially. We, as you know, pre-K started in the public school system this year, and we got them in the before and after school program as well, and we have an average of 60 kids a day just after school. 30, 35 kids a day in the morning, so we're very busy there. And those kids are looking for things to do. I think that, a full-time person could not only complement what we already have in place, but also, build revenue in other ways with, family programs, other things in the evenings that I think people would, I have adults that would like to have an adult dodgeball league. We did that several years ago, and it was great, but I don't have somebody who can be here. Usually, if there's a program right now that I can't be here for, then I'm on call, but that's really kind of an antiquated way to run things. There really should be somebody on site. Currently, we have 2 employees in the department, myself and Lori Kimball, who are, full-time benefit employees. Both of us are on our spouse's health insurance, leaving 50% available from each of us. So there is some funding available if you would consider, funding that position this year. What questions do you have for me? This would obviously be a position that if we advertise and filled it now, we would need to continue to fund this, in upcoming budget cycles.
Type of salary you're looking at?
$16 to $20 an hour is running rate in the area for a position like that,
How many hours a week?
40.
40.
Yeah.
So it would be, wow, for the rest of the,
Be over 1,000 in benefits.
and these programs run year-round, right? Because you run programs in the summer too.
Yeah.
So this would be a full-time, year-round position.
Yes, I would use this person in our summer programs too, yeah.
So this is just for our community.
Well, this would be for our community, but it would be, this person would work in the tri-town youth sports programs that we run with Kennybunk and Kennebunkport as well.
So they're gonna have a person doing the same job in those, so we got 3 of these people potentially is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can't be shared by the town, just too many kids, too much to do?
Well, there is a lot to do,
Mm.
but for us, when there isn't somebody in that position for another town, we're relying on something that's not there right now. But really, the goal is for us all to bring to the table the organization and management, which is my strength, and then also somebody who can work hands-on in the programs. And that's where we lack, that's where this town lacks. I don't have somebody that I can put in it and have all the kids flock around because that person is great at playing soccer or great at playing basketball, that can inspire them and work with them. We don't currently have that. That is something that the other towns have that we don't. But I also think that this person would be able to grow programs that are specific to this town that we can't currently run, like the flag football and a kickball league or a dodgeball league, adults, kids. There's lots of things that we could do that people want, but I can't offer them right now because I don't have anybody to do it.
The people who left, is it a matter of dollars and cents, is that what? No? Okay.
How about like UNE, Jen, have you reached out to them?
I
for-
have, I went to the community college system. I also went to UNE, I have jobs posted through there. I actually had a flyer go home with everybody in their sports management major over there, but a lot of them are athletes, they're collegiate athletes,
Yeah.
so they're playing their own sports at the time when I need them. They also need internships over there, but they run, by semester. They're not insured in between semesters. And so if I wanted somebody to be an intern for the basketball program, it would be a beautiful thing, but it starts in November and ends in January.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't work. I have, gone to some pretty creative measures to try to find somebody.
Jack
part-time.
Turcott, he always volunteers.
Jack, the kids just flock to Jack, for
I'll see
sure.
you tomorrow.
Jack can't dunk anymore.
Yeah.
So you talking, so you said 40 hours a week?
Yeah.
All year long?
Yes, and I could use them in current programs, and as I said, build revenue with new programs, but, before and after school program, we run the half-day trips that are consistently filling before the deadline. We fill a bus, and at that point, we have to say we can't take any more. So we have a Thursday midnight deadline for trips that happen the next week. And those programs are filling by Thursday morning. And I can't take any more because I don't have a second bus, but finding help midweek, it's impossible.
So that's, at $20 an hour, that's a $40,000 a year position. A little bit more than that.
So if this position was created, would that in turn create more expenses because more people would sign up for, would you have to buy a second bus, would you have to?
I don't know, I hadn't thought about a second bus, no, but I mean, we have all the equipment to run programs. Generally, unless there was a demand for programs, that required specialized equipment. At this point, I was thinking more about what we currently have and things more like recreational opportunities for kids and families, kickball, you buy a rubber ball, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the things that I was thinking of. Can I rule out that people would want things that create more expense? No.
I think the key really is to understand, how much much revenue this is gonna generate, you know, how much of that salary is really gonna come out of the taxpayers' pockets.
Yeah. If that person contributed in any way to the before and after school program, that certainly is generating each year more revenue than we project. If you think about 60 kids in the afternoon, 35 in the morning, that's 95, almost 100 kids a day in that program at $17 a kid per day. And we need help in that program. We lost an employee. That's a difficult position to fill too, because it's a split shift. They come in before school starts and they come back after school ends. So they don't have anything in the middle. It's gotta be somebody who lives locally, you know, for it to be worth it to them to go back and forth. But that person can certainly help in that program too. I don't think that I would have them there full-time, but things like the day trips, the half-day trips. And when we need help, if somebody calls out sick, it's not good. We had 50 kids, we had a trip to Dover Bowl, the first week of the school year. We had somebody leave in the first week of school. And we went to Dover Bowl, there were 3 of us. I was the bus driver, and then 2 staff, so there were 3 of us with 50 kids at Dover Bowl. And of course, they had their own staff too, and we all had, 16 kids that we had on the list and kept track of them, but really, we should have more people there. And again, filling positions part-time it's impossible right now.
But you don't have money in your budget this year for,
Well,
do you?
I do have some
You do?
money in my budget too, because this year, because I do have some part-time staffing in there that's not currently being used, because there's no one in the position. Plus, I've lost some staff in the before and after school program, and, there are some funds that have not been used.
Right, so if she could cover it in her current budget, it's fine, but if she can't, that's gotta go through the voters, we can't approve that.
Okay.
But
So let us.
she needs our support, cause if she goes ahead and hires somebody and then,
Right, if you
at
provide
town
the
meeting.
support,
Yeah.
if you felt comfortable to provide the support to consider the position, then it'll be up to Jen and I to crunch the numbers. And if we can't make them work, then we can't do it. But if we can, we really gather your support to try to do that.
again, from my perspective, and I said this a little bit earlier, show what the revenue will generate, and, if it's close to a wash, I'm all for it. If it's not, then obviously it'll be up to the voters, but that's gonna be a key question, this comes up every year when we vote on it. They look at that dollar figure, and there's a few people now that understand that she has revenue coming in, so most of it is taken care of, but it's a question that comes up at every,
Yeah, I
just
think
about every
last
town
year,
meeting.
it's been pretty consistent that she has over a $270,000 budget, and we're collecting taxpayers on the hook for about 82,000 of that.
Yeah.
The rest is being collected through revenue
Yeah.
programs and services, so. But I guess that would be our request tonight, would be to, in theory, support, if you feel comfortable enough to support us looking and considering this full-time position, then allow us to go ahead and finish crunching the numbers based on what we've heard tonight from you, to see if we can really make it work. We talked a little bit about that today in terms of benefit packages that may be offered to this applicant, and then we'll look at the numbers in the budget, as to see what we have there as well.
Any other comments from the board?
No, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Phil?
No, I'm good. I think we should try to support it if we can.
Yeah. At the Bean Supper
You said
Saturday
it.
night, I was talking to a parent who has a child in the pre-K program. Last year, they were paying $650, I think, a month for daycare. Now, that child is in pre-K, they're saving that money every month. So if they have to put that child into before school care or after school care, to those parents, they're still saving a bundle of money because that child is here. They're getting, as far as I'm concerned, they're getting their free daycare. um,
To the rec department's
Yeah.
defense, I can tell you that this is the first year that I can recall with Jen's recreation program, people can go online,
Yeah.
and like she was referring to, that Thursday, they need to have, so, we've got people that try to circumvent that rule to come to the town hall to sign up instead of going online and say, geez,
Cause they know it's full.
right, they know it's full, so we've got so many people that are really trying to weasel around our
yeah,
signups, that the demand is there. We do have folks that are really taking advantage of what we're offering, and, you know, I'm encouraged to the fact that somebody new, and professional may be able to really enhance some of the programs that we already have, and then offer some new stuff to folks, which would be really beneficial as well.
If I may, one of the things that I would be looking for, if I were to advertise for this position, is somebody who wants that kind of a role in the community. To build something, you know, take on what we have, keep that running well, but build more. It would need to be somebody with the passion that wants to do that. And there are people like that out there, which I, saw quite clearly when I sat on the interview committee with Kenny Buckford.
Well, we had one, and he really needed full-time employment, so he sought it elsewhere, so. And he would have been a wonderful addition to the staff.
Yeah, well, I mean, you certainly want somebody that wants that position, because that's how you're gonna make it grow, so.
You're pretty confident you can have somebody that quality for $20?
Yes.
The concern's gonna be is that even if you put it in place this year because you can make it work, you don't know what's gonna happen at town meeting.
Right, that's
Gonna be
why you
that's a
gotta,
roll of the dice for your potential
Yeah.
employee.
We would have to prove it this year.
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
prove it, you have to show that it's gonna generate some revenue, that it's gonna, you know.
Right, because inevitably somebody will say, well, the budget went up again, what are you doing?
Yeah.
right.
We'll have to explain it, obviously.
But you're not gonna generate enough revenue to pay for this position. The town's gonna have to come out of pocket for some money, there's no doubt about that.
For sure, yeah, it's not gonna,
Right.
yeah.
All it would take is 10 more kids in before and after school to pay for the position.
Right.
It's pretty much $20 a day,
It
right?
does cover Lori's position
Per kid.
and some of the part-time help right now.
And maybe offer some more things for, you get involved with offering things for adults?
I did a little bit, but I don't have the manpower to do it.
Right, so
Unless I
that's-
set something up and have it run itself, which, as I said, that's really not the way to do it. But that dodgeball league, people still talk about it. Hey Jen, when are we gonna do a dodgeball league again? I mean, I really think if we were able to put stuff like that out, and we had somebody in that position that the community came to know and enjoy, I really think that person could bring value to that. You know, hey, we're gonna run a dodgeball league, and people would be like, yeah, sign me up.
Do a dodgeball or a volleyball league or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
generate
volleyball's
some
pretty
more
big.
revenue.
Yes.
I'm supportive of trying to get this community in places together, not beating people, because we don't do a whole lot of that in this town.
Right.
Whether it's around recreation or otherwise, that's a be a plus, I think, and of course, if you get somebody in there that communicates well with kids.
And families.
And
Yeah, yeah.
getting enthusiastic about sports and recreation, I think is
Being involved,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's a good deal.
Okay, so you got a little bit of homework to do?
Yeah, so in theory, you guys are supportive of what we were attempting
Yes.
to do.
Yes, yes.
Good, we'll go ahead and finish crunching the numbers, and we'll report back.
Okay, thank you all. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, drawdowns for BDF Holdings.
Yes, I received a, email from the town planner in reference to trying to put together an opportunity to pay certain, certain construction costs, maybe perhaps on an off week, so let me just back up. Right now, if we're controlling a third-party agreement, generally we don't do that, but in this case, the developer gave us the $130,000 to hold an escrow for the project. So what happens is a tri-party agreement, the contractor, the developer, and the town engineer will look at the project and what portion of it is done, the contractor will supply a bill for that. And they'll sit around at either weekly or bi-weekly meetings and say, yep, that money, that's work's done, we can release that funds. The issue we're gonna have will be, we have twice every 2 weeks we're meeting, and there may be a time where those withdrawals will happen on a night or a week that we're not meeting. So what I'm really seeking here would be to provide permission to the administrative staff to go ahead, and once these tri-party agreements are signed and there's ability to release funds, that we go ahead and release the funds, and the town, because I'm one of the signatures, I could sign the check and release the check. What would then occur would be, it would appear in your warrant, at your next selectmen's meeting, that the funds have been released and the bill would be there and that kind of thing. So, I spoke to the deputy treasurer. It's something that could easily be accomplished through release, as long as we have approval to release the funds, and then we can just report back as to what we released and when it was released. So, what we're seeking here would be permission to provide a check off warrant, basically, when the need comes up.
Who would be double and triple checking this? I mean, with the warrant, usually with the payroll anyway, I know it's done, Jen does it, you go over it
Right.
and we sign it.
In this case, you'll have the contractor, the developer, the town engineer, the town planner will be at those meetings.
Okay.
And they'll review what's being requested, and then there'll be a sign off on that, yes, that money,
Okay.
that part of the project's done with sign off. Then that will be brought down to us, and Lisa will generate the check and the material on the back of it. She'll bring it in to me. I will review that and see that everybody has signed off on it, and then I'll sign the check and we'll release the check. And then when the warrant comes, you'll have that information in there that this has been released on an off warrant, signing night a week, so you're fully aware of what's going on. But I didn't feel comfortable doing it unless I have permission from the board to enter into that and sign that check or release those funds.
Are you doing lien waivers too, before any other checks get cut?
We hadn't talked about that. Lien waivers in what way?
Are the checks being cut to this DBF Holdings, or are they getting cut to the individual contractor?
I believe they'd be cut, the DBF Holdings has provided us the escrow money, they'd be cut to the contractor.
And the contractor should be signing lien waivers before he gets the check.
Okay. Gotcha,
We have to do that all the time.
okay,
And we don't like signing lien waivers before you get the check, so you gotta do a swap
okay,
of some kind.
gotcha,
Because if the contractor doesn't pay his bills, and he's already got the money, either the town or the developer's gonna be hanging for that, to pay those bills.
okay.
Right, Tom?
I don't think so, Phil. I
No?
mean, it's not our property. I mean, they're gonna lien the owner's property if in fact somebody doesn't get paid.
Okay.
It's not our money. We're just holding it in escrow as a security for something to get done.
Make sure it gets done.
So-
Then it's up to the developer to get his lien waivers.
That's for sure. He wants them, but you go
Yeah.
get them. We don't
Yeah.
care whether you get them or not. We
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that I think, as you know, the work that's being billed has been performed up
Yeah.
to some percentage level, whatever that
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah.
And that the engineers would say, yeah, you can pay the contractor or the owner of the property or whoever in the world this is, this amount of money as against our security for that work to be finally performed, fully.
And there were 4 people signing off on that, plus
I said it's not even our money, so I,
So the town can't be on the hook for any unpaid, nothing.
no.
That would be
You
my.
just happen to be the person that's holding the money or
Right.
releasing the funds.
If we got served with a trustee process because somebody sued the contractor and knew that the money was held in escrow here, then we don't let the money go. But that would be the only reason not to.
So you're looking for a motion to allow the town manager to release off-cycle escrow funds as needed for BDF holdings.
Correct.
I'd so move.
I second that.
Motion and a second, any other discussion?
Is there any fee that we can, I mean, it's, how much added work is this putting on?
That's a good question.
You know.
This guy's obviously saving the interest on not borrowing money or.
Well, I don't, this is our first time at it, Jason, I don't know how much.
I know towns don't typically get into the banking industry, but this is gonna add some work to somebody,
Yeah,
right?
but I guess by ordinance, there are 3 ways that we do this, and this is just one that doesn't get exercised very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't usually have the cash to go ahead and
Right.
do that.
Or it's in the bank and, they'll release the funds that way, so.
The bank gets their, what, 1% or something like that?
Yeah, right up front.
That's
So this guy's saving $1,300 right off the top.
Cash dogs. Okay, we have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Motion carries.
If this comes up again, though, I'm with Jason, I think we've gotta have a discussion before we take somebody's money and say, if we're gonna administer this,
Yeah.
maybe we ought to charge something
Yeah,
for it.
we need administration fee.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm writing it on my notes. We'll discuss it. It's a good point.
Okay. Confirmation appointment of election warden for town clerk.
Yes,
Harold?
yeah, the town clerk has recommended Sylvia Carroll as election clerk for the upcoming elections. I'd like to have a motion and a second to approve that and get some paperwork for you to sign.
So move.
Motion, do I hear a second?
second.
Motion second, any other discussion?
Can I vote?
It's recommended by your,
I think I'd back off. Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
I always seem to be in that gray area.
Yeah,
So err on the side of caution,
Yeah.
right? All those in favor?
there,
One abstention.
extension.
That just
I got
makes,
the right one there, right?
yes.
Okay, so we wanna do a modification for voter registration hours?
Yes, typically we've done this and we've done it around our office hours. So I would request the waiver once again.
Yeah, so move, I think we do this every year.
We do. I'll second that again.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Can I vote?
No,
No,
Definitely not in this.
no.
All those in favor? One abstention.
It's a pain in the
Yeah.
You know, that's what happens. You can step down, you know. Please don't.
yes, you do.
All right. Accounts payable and warrant.
So move.
We got.
Yeah.
Have a motion and a second.
So,
I need a second.
no, second?
Yeah,
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
You
Yes,
vote
you
on
can
this
vote.
one.
yeah.
Prior to adjournment, just to let you all know that, 2 things. I'll be out of the office, Thursday, Friday this week, taking my daughter down to Florida. Flying back on Sunday and be back at work on the 29th. And, Dan, myself, and Jack Turcotte will be meeting with the architectural firm, on Wednesday. We're gonna get together about 5:30, the firm will come in at 6 and begin to look at, contract, to enter into. We're hopeful that we can maybe iron something out that we can bring back to the board for consideration in the contract done, so we'll be working on that on Wednesday.
You wanna get moving on that and to get that going?
That's all I got.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, do I hear a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Adjourn at 8:05 PM.
Thank you.
Jack, I'm gonna send you